And here we are. Look at that. We look all professional and
We
everything like
do.
that. Hey, I'd just like to take this moment and thank our billions of fans that are coming in tonight and watching us. And tonight we're A.M.O.K.
A.M.O.K.
Yeah,
Yes, we are.
Oklahomans here, but that's all right. I love it. We'll be A.M.O.K for a night. That'd be fantastic. And, but
I'm
tonight,
A.M.O.K.
but that's okay. I dig on it. That's all right.
A.M.O.K.
That's okay.
Sorry.
We'll let Ken run A.M.O.K tonight because it's Ken's turn. So Ken,
It's Moo. Oh, sorry.
Tonight we've gone from A.M.O.K to running A.M.O.K to running behind to A.M.O.K. I love it. This is great. Well,
yeah, we're adaptable.
Exactly. So whatever we are, A.M.O.K or whatever tonight, we would like to introduce as our guest tonight a creator of beautiful one-of-a-kind jewelry using crystals and stones, which are all energetically cleared and infused with loving energy. She is an energy worker and healer, accessing 3 different modalities and the Akashic Records. A lot of questions there for us.
Yeah.
She is a grid worker, and she will explain that to us very soon. She's a communicator with dimensional beings of love and light, such as elementals, angels, and ascended masters, extraterrestrials, and more. And as she quoting here, she says, "It's all about the good vibration."
Good vibration.
There you go. I was hoping somebody would jump in with that, but A.M.O.K would like to welcome Mary Losing to the show.
Hey.
Welcome.
So, Mary, we're just going to jump right on in tonight. Do you have any opening words that you want to embellish upon us based on what I just read that you told me to read?
Oh, well, you did a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
Totally on the spot.
No, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Sorry. But go ahead.
So I work with crystals and stones. It really goes back to 2006. I had a near-death experience where I was in a bad car accident and died and came back. And when I came back, it blew open my crown chakra, and I started hearing and seeing things on different dimensions and planes, and stones are one of them. I hear them talk, and they're my people. I feel like I'm just a facilitator. I'm here to get them to wherever it is they need to go. So yeah, that's just a part of what's going on. Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about my near death, if you guys are interested.
Absolutely.
Of course.
So it happened 6 months after my husband died from cancer. It was early morning traffic, and I don't remember the accident itself, but I remember standing outside of the vehicle with my husband. And I had been T-boned on the driver's door, and my car had wrapped around the point of impact like a pretzel. And my husband said, "It's your choice whether you go back or not." And I said I had unfinished business. And I came to a local hospital, and I had injuries on the left side of my body, and I had a head injury that was similar to a stroke. I couldn't sit up straight. I had trouble walking. I lost all my coping and cognitive skills. Couldn't even bathe myself. And it was a real breakdown of the life that I had. Not only did I lose my husband, but I left the life that we had. I sold my house. I didn't know if I'd ever be able to take care of myself again. So, and during that time, I just moved into a different place. And there was a woman who did energy work on my husband when he was taking radiation at a local hospital. So I called her up, and she did a couple of sessions on me at her house, and they were real tactile experiences where I felt and I heard and I saw these beings around me. And I really wanted to do that energy work, but I didn't feel like I was whole enough to do it. And I had an audio experience where I was told now was the time. So I feel like I've been on a roller coaster ride since then. Um, like I said, it blew open my crown chakra, and I could see different beings on different dimensions and planes. Well, they're all around us here. They're
Right.
just right here. And I was introduced to a wide variety of people who became my teachers. And one of the ladies I was introduced to, her name is Elsie Milla, and she would do a channeling group in her house by invitation only on Monday nights. And there might be as few as 4 or as many as 16 people. And going to that was like going to a carnival, because we all have this entourage with us that travels with us. So, imagine you've got 16 people and their entourage, and then you have all kinds of extraterrestrials that would tune in because Elsie's was the happening place on Monday night. And I was seeing all of this. And I think my guides just wanted me to get my fill of it. And finally, one night I'm sitting there, and the woman next to me, who was a friend of mine, was talking about something she was trying to do, and her guides were there, and they were like cheerleaders, and they were like rooting her on, and one of them had a megaphone, and I'm like, hey dude, like, I'm the only one that can hear that, could you not be blowing that in my ear? And the woman next to me, it was her first time there, and several of her joy guides that bring joy into her life were there as small children, like 5-year-old children. They were running around the table touching people and spreading laughter and joy. And then this woman's mother was sitting across the table from me, and she had an old crone behind her telling me what to tell her. And I was like, I don't need to see all this, So
Mhm.
then it just got to be like a horse with blinders.
Mm.
And so I do a variety of different energy modalities, but it's all the same energy. It's all universal energy. And whenever you get those attunements opening you up to work those modalities, you just become a wider vessel for more of that universal energy to move through you. So I worked on people for years. I was involved in community events. And then I got to the point where um, I just kind of wanted to shut down from that. I needed a break from that. And I started having these experiences where I would feel energy moving from the core of the earth through me and up like a beam. And then but one time it hit me so hard I had an out of body experience, and I went out into the atmosphere and I looked down at the planet, and there were millions of us on the face of the earth, and we were lit up like Christmas lights, and we were hooked into the electromagnetic grid. So I realized that I was had moved into becoming a grid worker. So the energy moves through me up into the electromagnetic grid, and it spreads out like a mushroom. And I compare it like dropping a pebble in the pool of water. You don't know how deep or how wide the effects of that is. And sometimes I can push my energy out, expand that, and people are just supposed to walk into it. And when I work with the crystals and the stones, I do a variety of shows, and it's not always about the money when I do those events. It's about being there, and people are supposed to walk into that combination of my energy and the stones. And I've seen really beautiful things. I've seen people come up to my table and do release work. They'll start crying, or they'll start talking about something they haven't talked about in decades. It's just amazing. And I just have faith that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Lots of times I don't even have to talk. I just have to be somewhere. And I know the energy goes in wherever there's an opening with people. Could be, should be, going to be, will be. And it just goes in and it opens up like a lotus flower. And I don't, it's not about me knowing the effects of that. I'm just the facilitator. And but I'm grateful whenever the universe shows me the effects of the energy and how it helps people. So I'm just grateful for every day I'm here. Every day I'm here. So my personal philosophy is every day I can get out of bed and wipe my own.
Yes.
It's a good day. It's a
That's a
good
good
day.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and after being through what I've been through, you realize, you might not be here next year or next week or even tomorrow. So it's really important to be consciously aware of your thoughts and your actions and how you spend your day. Where are you putting, your energy? I look at my energy is like currency. Where am I going to put it where I'm going to get the biggest bang for my buck? And if I waste it on negativity or being a victim, I don't have anything left over for anything good. So I really try to live every day, yeah, the best I can. The best I can. Yeah.
I love that.
Now,
Yeah.
I have a question. Before all this hit you, did you have any kind of belief or anything in the paranormal or?
Well, I did have some experiences when I was younger and in my 20s. I had some things happen that scared me and I just shut it down. And I call myself a recovering Catholic. I'm not a practicer of any kind of structured religion, but I have the highest regard and love for those ascended beings, and those saints and those masters that work with those modalities. The Virgin Mary, she's part of my core group. So, but I wouldn't really call myself a very spiritual person at that point. That all really just like exploded after my accident because of where it put me.
I'm probably lit like a Christmas tree because you're speaking my language. I'm so excited that you're here with us.
Oh,
So,
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I believe this is huge what's going on here. We're getting hit with these huge solar flares, these corona mass ejections off the sun, which the last 2 to 3 weeks are just increasing in volume and intensity. And you look at just what the gravitational pull of the moon does to people. It gives them water on the brain, and then you take these energetic bodies that are trillion times bigger and they come through and they're hitting not only your physical body but your mental, emotional, and your etheric body. And it's a detox. It's bringing stuff up for people, karmic lessons that you didn't want to look at because they're hard or they're painful. So people, there's your shit's up in your face. I mean, you can see the traffic more than anywhere else, but if you're really willing to look at yourself, and it's the same tape that plays over, the same lesson plays over and over. The players change, but it's the same thing. And when you get to the point where you say to yourself, man, I'm tired of doing this, what am I doing that's creating this? You're like 80% done with whatever it is you have to learn. So yeah, I tell people, you and we bought the ticket to be here right now. There's big stuff going on. The planet's going through this huge evolutionary leap. Many people call it ascension, and we're all a part of that. We're all a part of that. Yeah, big stuff. Woohoo!
Sure.
I'm curious. What healing modalities do you work with?
So Reiki was the first thing that I was attuned in, and then I was attuned in Sikkim Reiki, which is an Egyptian modality. So the Reiki, when you're running it, many times your hands will get hot, and the Sikkim is cold energy. So sometimes I'd have a hot hand and a cold hand, depending on what the person in front of me needed at that time. And then I have a master level in Diksha also, which is energy that comes into the crown for enlightenment. So yeah. So I don't really work on people individually anymore. I did do that for many years, and I worked out of a handful of places in town. And I just kind of got to the point where I felt like people really needed to be doing their own work. I mean, you can work on people, but if they're not doing what they need to do, same stuff keeps coming back. So I got a little disillusioned with that. And then I moved into the grid work. So I just feel like I'm doing a different job. I mean, we're all here doing different jobs, and we have different tools to do those jobs. That's the way I look at that.
When I hear the term Reiki, does that equate more to physical healing, or does that also encompass mental and emotional type healing, the Reiki itself, or I know the grid work, I think, is more in tune with the last two things I said. But is Reiki more of a physical type healing?
Well, you're just the vessel for the energy. The energy goes through and works on whatever needs to be worked on. I mean, you think you're directing it, but the energy decides what needs to be done. So you're just a vessel for that to move through you. So it's going to go in and do whatever it needs to be, whether that's physical, mental, emotional, or etherical. And many times when people are receiving energy work, whatever modality that is, they'll feel hands on them of beings that they can't even see. That's because, you know, your guides are there, whoever's working on you, their guides are there, and they're doing what they need to do. You know, you might have the practitioner standing at somebody's crown and they're feeling hands on their feet, or they're feeling hands on their side. It's because these beings of light, love and light come in, and they're doing what they need to do. So
That's really
Interesting. Now, when you mentioned a few minutes ago that you were at your mentor Elsie Miller, I think you said,
yeah.
at that gathering. You said there was like 16 of you there, and everybody brought their clan with them. I'll call it. Could you see? It sounds like you could see pretty much everything that was going on. Who was all there? Did anybody else
There were.
also notice it and
Mhm.
mention it to you?
Well, there's a variety of people would come to Elsie's, and everybody had different gifts, but not everybody could see, you know. But just being there would raise your vibration.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Elsie Milla, she would start off the event. You know, everybody would say a prayer and sing to raise the vibration, and then Elsie Milla would um, give a message. And you know, might be a channeled message from her deceased husband, or an angelic being, or Jesus, or an extraterrestrial. And then she would start on the right hand side and go around the table, and everybody would have an opportunity to share something, whatever that encompassed, you know, whether they could see something or hear something, or if they just wanted to say a prayer or share an experience, or say nothing at all. I mean, the whole thing was, you were there in that collective energy, which was huge, and it shifts you. It really does.
Okay. Interesting. Do you, when you're working in these modalities, I think that's the term. I'm learning new terminology tonight. Do you pick and choose who is going to help you, or do you just kind of throw your question or your intention out there, and whoever picks it up, you know, is the right one?
Well, I have a core group that works with me. They're present with me all the time.
Okay.
And, you know, if I am intentionally working on somebody, I call them in, and I call in all the beings of love and light that are with the person that
Okay.
I'm working with. And that's who shows up. And maybe somebody else, maybe. And lots of times when I would work on somebody, I'm seeing what's going on, and I'll always ask, do you want to know who's here? Or do you want to know what I'm hearing or I'm seeing? You know, I don't just automatically blurt this stuff out, because a lot of people they're not prepared for that. But if people are open and they want to know, I'll say, oh, you know, your mother's here, or your husband's here, or so and so is here, and this is what they're saying, or this is what they're showing me. You know, and I don't interpret that, because it's not my stuff. It's for the person in front of me. So I try to be um, a clear vessel for that information, you know, because, you know, people are human, and lots of times they get information and they look at it through their filters, whatever they're working through, or how they interpret things. And I really try to put all that aside, because it's not my information, you know. And if I'm being guided to tell them something a certain way, or to explain something, I'll gladly do that. So
So
I
during, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry,
No,
Karen.
go ahead, Christy.
I was just saying, during Reiki, have you ever had to deal with negative attachments?
Yes, I have. Yes,
Mhm.
I have. Not too many though. I mean, I've been really blessed in that area where I don't. I have not had a whole lot of dark entities that I've had to deal with. I mean, they're there, and I have dealt with them when I needed to. But you know, lots of times it's. I mean, you can walk down the street and pick something up.
Of
You can go
course.
to the gas station and pick something up. There's stuff all around us,
Yeah.
that's looking to attach and feel the human experience, the good, bad, and ugly of it. To be in the human body with all of its sensory perception and experience life again. So you can pick that stuff up. I mean, so it's always important to be consciously aware of what's going on around you. But yeah, there's people who will be on the table in front of me, or people who come to me and I feel I can help them some way, and I'll see something that's attached to them, and I'll clean that off.
Yeah.
Move those beings into the light. And cut the cord. Yeah.
Mhm.
hmm
Interesting. You say you also basically have access to the Hall of or the Akashic Records.
The Akashic Records.
Mhm.
Yes. So
How does
I
that
had
work for you? I mean, how did
well,
you get
so you have
invited to do it?
you have to request. You have to request
Yeah.
entry. And so I had been reading a book that a friend of mine had given me, and at the end of the book, the author had written a prayer requesting entrance into the records. And man, I couldn't get through that book. I'd fall asleep. I'd put it down. I'd walk away from it. I had it for months, and I had a group of people over the house, and after people left, one of my friends was here, and I told her I was really wanting to work with records and I couldn't gain entry, and she sat down with me and we did the prayer together, and I just started crying. I felt like I had come home from being gone for a long, long time. And what was interesting is that the minute I was in, there was a crash in the hallway of my house, and something had lingered in the house from the group of people that I had here. And opening the records had raised the vibration in the house enough that it couldn't be here anymore, and it ran out, and it knocked
Dang.
something off of a piece of furniture I had in the other room and broke it. Yeah,
Mm.
and my friend felt exactly the very same thing I did, so I felt like I was right on in interpreting what that was. But the first thing I was instructed to do was to make a pie graft, and in every section of the pie write something that I wanted to look at about myself. And then just one at a time, not all at one time, but one at a time, um, I would go into the records and I would ask to look at the life that was associated with this, whatever it was about myself that I wanted to look at and heal. And it was really fascinating work. And a lot of those lives are not real pretty to look at.
No, they're
You
not.
know, yeah, they're very difficult to look at. And we've all been the victim and the perpetrator at one point too, if we've come back here many lives.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was really interesting. So at this point, um, if somebody's in front of me that needs some assistance, many times my guides or their guides will give me a record, give me something, a life that's involved with whatever's going on with this person, and we'll look at that and we'll work with that. Yeah, sometimes it's um, uh, soul retrieval work. It's an aspect of who they are. I mean, we all have a higher self, and I compare it to looking at a wheel, and the middle of the wheel is our higher self. Who we are, and every spoke that comes out is an aspect of our higher self. It's a life that we've lived, and um, sometimes that aspect lingers here, as you guys well know because of your paranormal work. And maybe it's chosen it has an attachment here, or maybe many times there's trauma at the point of death, and that aspect doesn't even know that it's dead, and it lingers here and it lingers here and it lingers here. So you know uh, part of what I do is help them to realize, you've moved out of your physical body. This is what's going on. And you have a choice where you can move on, and I've done that for myself too.
Hmm.
So,
So I think what I just heard, to make sure I did, is that you're looking at past lives of individuals, even if it's yourself,
Hmm.
and you are able to help them, help that particular past life, in essence, move on.
Right. Well, and many times, if you've got something going on, a physical ailment, sometimes a physical ailment that you have is like an open wound from life after life, where you've had multiple injuries in that part of your body, and stuff moves in and out of it, and for me, what I've seen, in order to heal that, you go back to those lives and heal whatever's going on there. That's just a part of it. Everybody has different tools and they do healing in different ways. But that's what the Akashic Records, how I've been shown to work with that.
It
So,
also, if that's, people that you have in your life, it can show you why you have that karmic bond with that person in that life and
oh,
why,
absolutely.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of those people, they're part of our soul group. So they'll come back life after life. You've got karma, you've got to work out with them. And they'll say, hey, in this life that you're coming back, I'm going to play that asshole boss that you had, or that child who dies young, or, those people that you have lessons tied with. And there are people, though, that are not part of your soul group that will come back life after life, and there can be a nuisance.
This is
I,
very
I,
true.
I call them thorns.
Thorns in your
Thorns.
side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're thorns. Oh my gosh.
So I
Oh
have
wow.
a, I have a question about, unless you wanted to ask me more about past lives, I have a question about stones that I've been itching to ask you because I love stones as
About
well.
what? I'm sorry, Christy. What did you say?
Crystals and stones.
Crystal? Yes, yes. Ask me.
So, there are many crystals that are popular and then they go out of style, but for some reason, Moldavite tends to get the hype, and the people are like, it ruined my life. And I'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions on the power of Moldavite or the lack thereof or whatnot.
So Moldavite, it's from someplace else. It's from another
Mm-hmm.
planet.
It
So
is.
it's a different vibration, and it's a high vibration.
Yes.
When I have Moldavite on my table, if somebody is interested in it, I tell them, I say, so I had some little chip necklaces I sold for a while. I called them my Moldavite starter sets, and
Mm-hmm.
I say, now just stand here for a while and hold it or put it on and see how you feel. I said, and it takes a while for your field to integrate the energy from that
Mm-hmm.
stone, and you might get headaches or nausea or a variety of things. And if you're really wanting to work with that, I would start out in small increments. Maybe put it next to your bed at night and let it work with you in your dream state, or wear it for a little bit here and a little bit there. And because I feel that Moldavite is it's a doorway to connecting with your star family, to beings from other
Absolutely.
dimensions and planes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It can make
So,
big changes in your life too, for certain.
oh,
Moldavite
absolutely, you're right.
is a piece of a meteorite, and so it's from
Absolutely.
space.
Hmm.
So for those that didn't know, yeah, I love it. I have a tiny little piece because it's very expensive, which of course it is. But
Hmm.
holy moly, I
Yeah,
love
it's
that one
big
and blue
stuff.
light.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a friend who has a piece that's like 3 inches long that she wears.
Wow.
Yeah, and years ago, I met a guy. I used to go to Living Insights, and there was a guy there named Ron. He would show up. He was an older guy, and they called him the Star Trek guy. The kids all did, because he had this huge piece of Moldavite that he wore.
Wow.
Yeah, so not everybody can wear that Moldavite, but then at the time, maybe that's not what they're supposed to be doing. I mean, I tell people all the time, if you're drawn to a particular stone, it's calling to you because it wants to journey with you right now for whatever it is you're walking through. It wants to
Mm-hmm.
be there to help you move through it. And then many times you'll lose interest in that stone, or it'll break, or
Yeah.
you'll lose it, or you'll give it away because it's already done what it's going to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yep.
so I work with Tactite also. And
Ooh, that's a good
so I
one.
have a little Tactite story. So I had a friend of mine, he was a farmer guy, so there's nothing woo woo about him. And I had
Mm.
this bag of these little Tactites, and
Woo-woo.
I opened them on the table and I said, "Hey, I want you to pick out one of these stones." And one of them sat up. I kid you not. It just like sat up. And he said,
Wow.
"Well, I want that one." So every once in a while I'd say, "Hey, do you still got that stone with you?" And he goes, "What's the damnedest thing?" He said, "The other day I put my hand in my pocket of my coat and it was there and I didn't put it there." He said, "And then once it was underneath the seat of my car and I don't know how it got there. And then one day I put my foot in my shoe and it was in my shoe." I
It's
said,
an
"Oh,
Annabelle rock. That's terrible.
No, they walk. Crystals tend to walk. Like they travel when you
I'd
need
take
them
that thing in a
Oh my
wrist rocket and
gosh.
launch it.
well, and these beings around us, especially elementals, they can be
Oh.
tricksters and they'll pick up stuff and move
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they can bring my old hearing aids back too, because I could use them.
Yeah, when you're talking about the rocks, moving. I always forget the name of this. I think it's called citrine. It's a yellow color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I have a piece of that along with rose quartz and something else in my right pocket and the darker stuff on my left. But and I carry them all the time. I went down to Pythian Castle, not when we all went, but the time before that. And I stayed at this one place in town in Springfield. And I'm getting ready to, I packed everything up, getting ready to leave on Sunday morning to head back home. And I didn't think anything about it, but I felt when I got in the car and put it in drive, I felt something fall behind me from the ceiling. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm thinking it's a giant bug. I'm like, I don't want to reach back. I don't want to reach back and check it out because it was really hard. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And I reached back and it's this stone, which was in my pocket.
Wow.
And I thought I'm like, something was going on at that moment
It's getting your
that,
attention.
yeah, something was trying to get my attention, which was pretty
They
cool.
can just delay you a bit before you left. Sometimes they
Yeah.
want you to pay attention.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what that was all about, but it definitely got my attention because it hit my back and it hurt.
Yeah. Well, you were down there communicating with different beings, right? You were.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So maybe somebody was walking around with you. And
People are different in Springfield.
She did.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a new meaning to being stoned, right?
I tell you, yeah, I'm not one of those people who are big into rocks and stuff like that. My daughter is like crazy into them. She has all kinds of rocks and different stones and crystals and stuff in her house. And she's not a woo-woo person or anything like that. She just loves how, oh, this is pretty. But I don't know. Is it because I picked up rocks before. No rock had ever drawn me. Diamonds, but that's totally different. But is it because I'm not holding on to them long enough, or am I just so much of a skeptic that all I see is a rock that doesn't bring any power to me?
Well, maybe that's just not a tool that you're supposed to be using right now.
She just called me a tool.
You are a tool.
Maybe
Wow.
All of us know this, Adrian.
Yeah. I mean, so
Maybe
maybe the
also-
stones. Yeah, they're not supposed to be working with you right now.
Yeah. Or maybe they're doing the work they need to do and you're holding them and giving you the energy you need and maybe you'll feel better, the boost later. It can also be delayed reaction too.
Yeah, it could be like too much for me. All right.
You're like a sponge, man. You pick up the rock, you absorb all the energy, you throw it away.
Hey, I've seen people pick up a stone, or like when I do those shows, they'll put on a piece of jewelry and the stone immediately incorporates with their auric field and their field goes woof, like this.
Yes, that is
And
the coolest
expands.
thing.
Can even feel it. Yeah.
Mhm.
They'll feel it. I feel it. Yeah.
Mhm.
I've actually felt a couple of stones actually vibrate just tremendously, and I was a couple of feet away from one that was being passed around this one of these conferences I went to, and it got within, like I said, about a foot or two of me. I couldn't touch it because there was so much vibration coming off it that it was really making me uncomfortable. I don't know what it was, but
Giving off a bad vibration.
yeah, it was.
Also,
But I have
touched
picked
it
up some,
probably.
and I'm sorry.
Probably all the people who touched it, all the energy that was in it.
That could be it.
Mhm.
That could very well be it. But yeah, I've actually had one. the rock I picked up did not sit up like the one guy. But when I put it in my hand and closed my eyes, my whole hand was shaking like this because I could feel it.
It was
So,
talking to you. You know, they're
yeah,
beings. They're beings. They really are. They were here long before us.
There's
sure.
John Harmon saying crystal stones and rocks are very intriguing, and I believe they do call to some people.
They do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
I
think
went to
about
a rock show once before, you know, when I first started on my journey.
there's several rock shows.
Yeah, the rock shows.
Mhm.
And in St. Louis, there's like 5 or 6 big rock shows. There's a lot
Yeah.
of big rock hounds in St. Louis. And that was before I was really working the energy. And I was called to a back table along a wall, and there was a big stone there, and it was calling to me. I mean, it really was. And it was a huge piece of calcite, and it was like $40. And at that point, you know, I wasn't buying a lot of rocks, and I'm like, $40 for a rock, man, that's a lot of money, you know. But
Yeah.
I guess I'm supposed to have that. And that was like the beginning for me. Yeah.
What kind of calcite was it?
It was yellow calcite. So I've got it over on, I've got altars all over the house. I mean, that's what I call them, you know.
Same
And
here.
it's over here on my main altar right now. Stop that.
Ah.
Right
Yeah.
now, I'm obsessed with pistachio calcite. It's my new favorite.
Shh.
Got something to say. That's all. It's not a shit.
Mm.
You're just saying hi. Hi.
Yeah, he's wanting a treat. You know, he's like, he
He's
can
got
work
you
me
figured
right
out.
now.
Yeah,
Yes, there are.
we were talking about. Oh, there's a question up there.
Oh no, the Enzo just talking about the few mines here in Arkansas where you can just go and do it.
Arkansas mine,
There's actually,
crystal
I
mine.
don't remember which one it is, but one of them just had a hole open in it.
Oh,
Hole open in it.
well, that's
What?
not good.
I can't remember which one it is.
Oh
That's how
yeah.
Land of
It's
the
one of
Lost
the
started.
Arkansas mines.
Oh, really? Was it one of the hot springs mines?
I don't think it was Hot Springs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Was
I'll have
it?
to look. That's going to bother me now.
It's in Arkansas.
Yeah, it's one of the Arkansas mines.
I think I heard about that not too
That's
long
like
ago.
one of the volcanic.
I didn't hear about that, and I'm in Arkansas.
So, do you ever utilize crystals in your healing practice?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Put them on the different chakras. You know, have people hold them. They have them sitting in their laps holding them. Yeah.
So do you use magnets, or is that not like? I mean, because that has got an obvious energy.
Now, I don't. That's not a tool that I use, but there are people who do use them. Yeah.
And I've heard copper also.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, I love copper.
Another one.
Oh, yeah. Copper has its own healing properties. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
It's Arkansas's crater of diamonds.
Oh, the big one.
Yeah.
Diamond
It's
Park,
all
huh?
open.
See, that would be the one I'd be used to. I'd walk around and grab a stone out of, but that.
Yeah. Well, watch where you're walking.
Right.
Yeah.
Ah!
Probably.
That'd be my luck.
That would be my luck.
Mine too.
I'd finally go and I'd die in a crater.
So,
But you
were
wouldn't be
saying-
eaten.
Mm.
But you
That's
wouldn't be
true.
eaten.
Bigfoot
Maybe.
didn't get you. The volcano got you. The ancient inactive volcano got you.
Oh, there you go.
You were
What's
saying
your
that you also make jewelry, correct?
Pardon none?
You make jewelry also, right?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I do.
Where do you sell it, or can people get a hold of you to buy it, or is it like
I do. Yeah, you could. I do a couple of the shows in town, but you live out of
Tulsa.
state. I don't. You know, I
Yeah.
have a website, but I don't really sell stuff on the website, just
Mhm.
because I do the shows in town. You know.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah. So you can go on my website and look at the shows that I'm doing. At one time, I was doing 11 shows a year, and now I'm down to 4, just because they're a lot of work.
They are a lot of work.
They are, yeah. And you know, I'm 65 years old, and those rocks are heavy.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Adrian would be running from the
Yeah.
smokestacks after
Yeah.
falling in that
We
hole.
could-
Absolutely.
He got my Land of the Lost. I was telling you earlier, yeah, it would be.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
Yeah.
Good golly.
So talking about those rock shows, there are a lot of extraterrestrials that come to those rock shows in human bodies. A lot.
Really?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the vibration of the stones. You know, they come in and they want to see what's going on in there, who's in there, you know? Yeah. So I see a lot of them, and I have my friends come and help me out at my booth, and they see them too. And we've had interesting encounters. We've had interesting
with aliens.
Yeah. Well, I have encounters with extraterrestrials on a pretty frequent basis. Yeah. Yeah. So at the rock shows, they'll come there. So I was telling Ken a story. So I was doing a show once, and there was a lady standing at the table talking to me. And about 10 feet down, there was an older woman who was looking at the table, and she came running up to the table, and she pushed the woman in front of me away. And I had a bowl of Lemurian crystals, and she's going through those crystals. So she was probably about 5'3" and kind of built like me, round, you know, and I would say she was in her 70s.
Was
And
she gray?
well, no, she wasn't gray. You know what she looked like? So what she looked like is, you know, the character in the Metamucil commercials, the green blob. That's what
I've
she
been paying a
looked
lot of attention to those commercials here lately.
So you see through
the human body.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So I'm having conversation with her, you know, physical conversation with her. Lots of times they'll talk to me in my mind, but we're having physical conversation. And my girlfriend is standing behind me, and she's a big Amazon and not saying anything. And anyway, this woman in front of me, she buys her crystals, and she goes on, hey, come here, little man, stop that. And my girlfriend bends over my shoulder, and she says to me, did you see what that was? Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
So is there a lot of them in our government? Because I would explain a lot.
Yeah, no.
They're everywhere.
do they
They're
realize?
everywhere.
I'm sorry, they're everywhere. Okay. Do they realize that you can see them and know what they are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
So they interact accordingly.
Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. You know, so they're here for 3 different reasons. You know, they're here to help us with what we're going, this evolutionary process we're going through, or they're here as observers. There's a lot of them that are here as observers, or they're here just to take what they want, you know, to rape the earth and of everything that they can get out of it, you know. So you know, you got to have discernment with them, just like you do anybody else. You wouldn't let just anybody into your house or strike up a conversation with anybody. You have to have discernment. Who
That's kind of my problem. I'll talk to anybody.
So my conversation, which I thought was totally far-fetched, I was doing a paranormal investigation down in DeSoto, so it's about an hour from about an hour south of here. And at one point, that late that evening, that, you know, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock, whatever, tapped into voices on the spirit box. They said they were aliens. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to play along with this and see how far it goes. They were telling me when they're going to arrive, what they're going to do. They didn't know when, they didn't know this, they didn't know that, but they went on and on for probably about 30 minutes. And then they finally said goodbye, and they were gone.
Yep.
And I'm like, really? I said, when you coming in? Monday.
Mom walked into the room.
I'm like,
What happened?
okay.
Next Monday.
I said, well, do you know? I started to say, do you know what date that is? And they said May 8th. And May 8th was a Monday. It was that next Monday. I'm like, oh, this is even more weird. It's like, okay, did somebody just tap into, you know, did the government just tap into me and is giving me some stuff over the spirit box? But I'm like, this is so hilarious. I'm trying not to laugh, but I believe them, you know.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
it was worth.
I don't believe any spirit.
It was worth the conversation.
You don't believe in what?
I believe in spirits, but I don't believe what they say.
Oh,
No, not one
I
bit.
got you.
Not at all. They
I
all
was like,
lie.
wait a minute, Adrian.
No. Yeah.
Wrong field, dude.
I talked to a spirit Sunday morning. I said, I walked by the door, and spirit box is going. He goes, hi. I go, hey, how are you? You ready for breakfast? What do you want for breakfast? And he goes, bacon. And I'm like, okay, bacon sounds good. You want anything else with it? Got no answer. muffled with something or another, and then another voice said bacon.
I
So you guys
just want
really like?
bacon.
I said, you guys really like bacon?
Yeah, I
Yep.
like bacon.
And
Yep.
I got a yep. So I'm like, oh my god. And then to top it off, we smelled bacon.
Oh,
That's wild.
That was crazy. But anyway,
I smell bacon when I'm outside and it's hot.
I just cooked bacon.
there was nobody around. This was up in the middle of Iowa cornfields. I'm like,
Man.
oh my goodness. Then the place had electricity, but no running water in it. But
Now I want bacon.
Now,
they
Mary,
want bacon.
do you converse with them from your house, or do you just converse with them out when you're at the conventions and stuff?
Oh no, I have a lot of them walk through my house. They have to be a certain vibration to come in.
Yeah.
To begin with.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, my house is full of crystals. I have the house gridded. I have my property gridded. I've set up my white light. I have my own group in here. They have to be a certain vibration to come in, and as long as they're not intrusive, they can hang out here for a little while. So, so I have extraterrestrials that move through the house. I have a lot of elementals around the house. So I have I was telling Ken about this one situation I had. I was sitting on the couch one evening, and my dog. Oh God, he's really.
You have to pick up your doggy and hold
He's
it.
working me for those.
We want to see him anyway.
Oh, he's a little monster, man. Anyway, when he gets scared, come here, buddy. All right, can you go lay down, take a nap, okay?
Oh, that sounds like a great plan.
Yeah, why would he go away? He's getting treats. Yeah. Anyway, when he gets scared, he kind of does this like yodeling, screaming thing, And I'm sitting on the couch, and across from me, the room from me, are these bookcases and my TV in the middle on a stand, and he's pacing in front of those yodeling. And I'm on the phone with a friend of mine. I'm like, I don't see anything. I don't know what he's all jacked up about. And she says, well, just hang up the phone and go stand over there. So I did, and I'm standing in front of my front door coming into my living room, and I see this being leaning against the wall, and he's as tall as the ceiling. His head is reaching the ceiling, and sometimes I know who they are and sometimes I don't. And I didn't really know who he is, but I thought, well, maybe he's a elemental being, because they can be as big as redwoods, And so he's talking to me in my mind, and he's saying, greetings, blah, blah, blah. And he's asked me a question. I said, well, you can't stay if you're going to scare the dog, because the dog lives here 24/7. And he just kind of looked at me, and I realized he wasn't from here. He was an extraterrestrial, because he didn't understand about the dog being afraid, didn't understand emotions. So a lot of them don't have an emotional body.
Right.
And then he says to me, can my companions come in? So I get like this 3-dimensional peripheral vision at the back of my head out my front door, and they're like lined up on my walk coming to my front door, and I'm like, whoa, how did he get in here? And they didn't. So I said to him, no, this is not like on a tourist guide map.
Right. Yeah.
They can't all come in. And he was real respectful, and he nodded, and he just faded off. So
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
It's
crazy.
funny that you were talking about a moment ago about gridding. I had my house cleaner came in today, and she's new, and she's like, "You've got these black crystals and these white bars. What are they for?" I'm like, "It's protection." Like, you got selenite and obsidian everywhere. Like, just it's gridded. It's fine. It's good. If it's not, things can get in, and it's not always pleasant.
Well, and keep funky people away too.
Yes.
I mean, hey, come here, come on.
Okay, baby.
Oh, now he's got the other dog out here, and he's standing there licking his lips. Okay.
He's like, come on, hurry up.
The gang up, yeah.
I got kind of a question. Now you're picking up on all these energies that come to you. Now, what happens when you're walking through like Walmart?
I feel that stuff.
So, I mean, you say you're picking up on all these energies of these people.
Yeah.
Well, not just extraterrestrials. You're talking about people and their. I mean, everybody's damaged.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that? I mean, how do you could be walking next to somebody who's just picking up something but they're on their way to off themselves. So
Sure.
how do you handle that kind of a situation?
I don't tune into all of that.
Yeah,
I don't tune in, but
it's just like noise.
yeah, I don't go to a lot of big box stores.
Me neither.
I
I
really
go to
don't.
Walmart like daily.
Do you? Oh God.
Mm.
Yeah, that's too much for me. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I don't. I'm real selective about the crowds that I go out in. Too.
Walmart pickup is the best invention ever.
Right? Oh, delivery too. Holy cow.
Yeah, I wish we had delivery here.
I think the last time I was at a Walmart, I pulled my roommate into the bathroom and I said, I can't leave here until whatever's here is gone. It's so bad. We had to stay there for 15 minutes, and I'm like, we can leave now, but
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, I deal with people all day long, and of course, now that I've moved to a clinic, it's not as bad as when I was working in the hospital. But I'd always see people like they're in their worst moments, and I just don't know how. I'm not woo woo at all. I'm barely empathetic when people are. Yeah, ask my wife. I'm a jerk, and I don't mean to be. I mean, and when I tell you I'm going to pray for you, I actually do. I don't just say I just say words and go, because I do feel for people, but I just don't. I don't know how I'd handle that situation because, like I said, I do and will talk to anybody. I don't care who you are, where you are, if you're a fancy pant or you're a bum. I don't care. I'm going to talk to you the same way as I talk to everybody else. And so I would think if I were to have that kind of an issue, I would probably. I don't know if I'd go crazy or just get killed.
No.
Well, it's not that extreme, I mean, you get used to a certain amount of that, but if you can make a choice of who you're around and where you go, I mean, you just do. You just do.
Well, you can also put up a protective grid around yourself too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
But see, yeah, I got kind of mixed
Things still do get
feelings
through
about that.
occasionally.
Yeah,
I work in a library, and we don't have a choice of who comes up to us.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And
It's
sometimes
gonna walk through the door, Pam, like, get out!
you can't do that. You have to be respectful, but you have to put up a boundary too.
Sure.
She has to say please first, Adrian. Please get out!
Please, get out!
You can always feel those negative vibes. So if you know somebody's got a
Absolutely.
negativity about them, you can kind of feel it. So you can keep your distance. And then you
Oh,
can tell those
yeah.
huggers, the hugger. I'm a hugger.
Some people
So,
it's okay. Others, it's like, no, I'm going to stay behind the desk and
mhm.
you.
I'm like a vampire hugger. I have to be invited first. And then I'm like,
Well, a person will stay outside of my bubble.
Yeah.
Well, that's where those stones come in handy, though. I had a government job for years, and I had black tourmaline taped to the bottom of my chair, and I had it on my
That's a good
desk.
idea.
So.
How many of them did you have to bring in at a time?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm really blessed. I was able to retire. And, one of the nice things about retiring is you don't have to subject yourself to people you normally would not choose to have in your life. You can be more
Right.
Absolutely.
but when I retire, I'll be subjecting myself onto my wife, and then she's going to go crazy.
And she'll start wearing crystals, and then you're in trouble. We have a library cat, and we put a crystal on her just to
Oh gosh.
from unwanted attention.
Oh yeah, a lot of people will put their stones on the make a pendant and put it on their pets' collars. Different things.
That's a good idea. Is there one that will level an energy of, like, say, a Chihuahua? Because I got 4.
You have 4 Chihuahuas.
Those are demon dogs anyway, but no, your Chihuahuas are sweethearts.
Again, I say rose quartz.
2 of them occasionally have horns.
2 of them?
2 of them occasionally have horns. Yeah, I've heard that story. I've heard that story. Hey, Mary, if somebody wanted to contact you, how could they contact you?
You can go to my website. It's on that ad on Facebook, wiredancedesigns.com. And there's a contact spot there. They can send me an email.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That sounds great.
No, it's great.
Well, just know
I
you're
wanna-
probably going to get some friend requests from some of
You
us.
might.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Nice.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
be on the lookout for them.
The weirdo didn't come from us.
I've got a question I was going to ask a little while ago, but we got off on a tangent here. But we were talking about past lives.
Aw.
Do you know why we really maybe can't or don't know about our past lives easily? Are we? Is it just shut out, or have we agreed that we're not going to check, or without going through like a past life regression analysis through somebody else or something like that?
Yeah. Well,
Is there any?
my take on that is, when you come here, you're shrouded with the veil, so that you're learning. So you're learning on your own. I mean, of course, right now the energy is getting so dense, the veil's getting thinner for a lot of different things. But I mean, I don't know everything.
Well, I don't.
So,
And I
yeah,
wasn't kind of putting you on the spot,
yeah.
but just if you heard any, had you heard any possible reasons for that? But that's a pretty good one. That we were put into a shroud, and it's almost like we have to relearn everything.
Well, it is, yeah, and hopefully you learn more than you did the life before. But unfortunately, some people play the same tapes and patterns
Cards.
over and over again. I mean, and then we've got lineage tapes and patterns that we're always trying to clean up too. Your grandmother taught your mother how to do something a certain way, and your mother taught you how to do something a certain way, or to have fears over certain things. So right now, I believe a lot of us are cleaning up a lot of that old lineage, so that future generations don't have to learn those lessons again. Yeah.
Okay,
I
interesting.
love that family DNA. That's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was
good
about ready to say.
stuff.
So
Yeah.
all of that is in our. Is all of that? I've heard actually that everything is in our DNA, all of our past, and possibly even future.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that before, which is kind of an interesting topic to think about.
Well, I guess it would be because you evolved from the DNA. So yeah, probably that makes sense.
Okay.
We got a minute and a half, so we need to wrap this up. Mary, I want to say that was a fantastic interview.
Yes.
You did a great job.
It really was.
Totally enjoyed it. Even though
Oh,
it's not my thing. I'm not. So I tell you, I let Ken run. Usually I yammer a lot, but that was great.
thank you.
Hang around. Don't go away. We'll talk a little after the after credits. Next week we have on Oklahoma. Who's here?
Daryl McGlumpy, I believe, is coming on next week. I'm not going to be here, but I gave him. I think it's I sent him to you guys here. So he's
He's a nice guy.
We
he
can
is
work it
he's the
out.
president of
You may
Ghost.
remember
He's
him
a
from
criminal investigator.
Paracom last year. So
Mhm.
he was there.
He's a-
It'll be a good
he's
time.
the president of my group. So
Awesome.
He's
Looking
All
forward
right.
to it.
Yeah.
It was a great time, Mary.
Woohoo! Good show! Great show! Yeah.
Guys,
Yay! Thank you.
All right,
Thank
everybody.
you.
see everybody next
so
week,
much,
guys.
Mary.
Y'all have a good night. Thanks for joining us. See you
Thank
next week.
Bye.